Right now at 5, a look at the arson charges a Wisconsin man is facing after a fire at a congressman's office.
A look at the impact the early days of the Trump administration is having on public health agencies.
And there could soon be picket lines outside your favorite membership-only warehouse. The latest on a potential strike at Costco.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
The man accused of setting fire to Congressman Glenn Grothman's office is now officially charged.
The man's court appearance was this morning, and our Merrill Hubbard is here to break down the charges against him. Merrill?
Yeah, Susan, Eric, 19-year-old Caden Sage Stakowitz is charged with arson, terrorist threats, attempted burglary, and criminal damage to property. The charges were made official by the Fond du Lac County Court this morning.
I also believe that there is a potential risk to the public. The court is ordering a $500,000 cash bond, no contact with Congressman Grothman, his office, or staff, or areas that are leased or rented for his campaign.
Police say early Sunday morning, crews responded to the Republican congressman's office in Fond du Lac for reports of a fire. They later arrested Stakowitz, who allegedly admitted to setting Grothman's office on fire because of the TikTok ban. TikTok went dark Saturday night, but was back online by Sunday afternoon. A message on the app thanking then President-elect Trump for vowing to save it from being banned. Representative Grothman was one of the hundreds of Congress members who voted in favor of forcing TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell or face a ban from U.S. app stores. Now, the fire did not hurt anyone, and Grothman said he's thankful someone called 911 when they spotted it. We will hear his comments on this incident tonight at 6.
All right, Merrill, thank you. One person is dead after a crash in Janesville this morning. Janesville police say they responded to a single vehicle crash at about 6:30. Happened at the intersection of Humes Road at Deerfield Drive near the Aldi store there. Officers say they found multiple traffic signals down in the area. The driver and the only occupant of the vehicle were pronounced dead at the scene.
In Whitewater, no one was hurt after a fire broke out in a home there yesterday afternoon. Crews were called to West Walworth Street just after 1 for a report of smoke in the kitchen. In just 4 minutes, firefighters were on the scene and found fire coming from the basement. It had spread through the wall and into void spaces throughout the home. The estimated loss is expected to be released at a later date.
An 8-year-old boy is dead after being shot by a 52-year-old man in the town of Geneva. That's in Walworth County. 52-year-old Stephen Merkel is charged with first-degree reckless homicide. Town of Geneva police say they were called to Merkel's home early Monday morning, found a boy with a gunshot wound. He died at the hospital from his injuries.
Given the serious nature of this offense, as well as the record, what I'm asking the court to do at this time is set a $250,000 cash bond.
Friends of the 8-year-old and his family now are raising money for funeral costs and describe him as a bright and funny young man who was a younger brother to 2 sisters. As we wait to learn more about what led to the shooting and how it happened, friends of the victim's family say they are still trying to understand how it happened.
Now for a look at the weather. Alex Harrington is actually out on the patio, double digits. What is it, 21 degrees? Oh, and the snow is still falling outside.
It is, yeah. We're getting a little bit. Now it looks like winter. Feels like winter, looks like winter. Actual temperature out here, and we'll show that to you in just a second here across all of southern Wisconsin. But I got it on my watch here too. It's right by just what you said, Susan, right around 21, 22 degrees. What a difference a day makes in the temperature department. And we are tracking that light snow right here. This is Dane County. We're seeing that right here on the southwest side of Dane County. A light snow. Flakes are light in overall quality, and overall visibilities here are doing pretty okay. Southwestern Wisconsin, just a couple of flurries as well, and then another concentration of a few flurries from Janesville over towards Elkhorn has shifted now more towards Elkhorn. And as we look out a little bit further, future track brings one more line of flurries through right around 8, 9, 10 o'clock through southern Wisconsin. Maybe another dusting on top of what we've accumulated, which has been about a dusting to half-inch. There's that map I was mentioning. 21 in Madison, 24 in Lone Rock, 23 in Platteville here in Dane County. We've got 23 in Mount Horeb, 20 to the northeast in Sun Prairie, and 21 in Stoughton, and it feels a whole lot better out here. And even the wind chills, that's that bottom number, will stay in the teens as opposed to the teens below 0. Coming up in Maine weather, I'm going to let you know when do we hit 40 degrees. It's right around the corner.
All right, that's good news, Alex. Thank you. For the time being, federal health agencies like the CDC, the FDA, and the NIH are not issuing scientific reports. The Trump administration has told the agencies to pause external communications, and the changes in how our country goes about public health did not stop there.
Well, President Trump on Monday signed an executive order that would withdraw the U.S. from the World Health Organization. Our Jalen Banks joins us with what it means.
Of the 200 pieces of legislation signed by President Trump on Monday, one of those may impact public health abroad and in Wisconsin. Monday, President Trump signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization.
Withdrawing from
What
the
is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir.
Ooh, that's a big one.
President Trump cited disagreements over the U.S.'s financial contributions to the WHO.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million. We were paying 500 million.
The WHO is the governing health agency of the United Nations. The organization provides technical assistance to countries as well as sets international standards and guidelines that impact public health. I spoke with one expert who has worked closely with the WHO on the potential impacts of the decision to leave.
Here in Nigeria, where I'm at right now, 100% this is going to affect Wisconsinites, right? And I think that the thing is that, like, I don't know how to most plainly say this. Like, we just withdrew from the largest health organization on the planet voluntarily, right? And so, we no longer have a seat at the table.
And the effects of leaving the WHO may very well reach Wisconsin.
The WHO is not just infectious disease. It's not just communicable disease, right? It works on things like, heart disease, cancer, injuries. And so I want to remind the people of Wisconsin, what is it that kills Wisconsinites the most? It's heart disease, it's injuries, it is cancer.
Jalen, thank you. On Monday, President Trump said he wasn't ruling out returning to the WHO.
Thousands of additional active duty U.S. troops are being ordered to the southern border with Mexico. Around 1,500 troops are expected to be part of the first round. Earlier this week, the Trump administration asked for 10,000 to be prepared to deploy, but military officials pushed back on that number, saying that it would hinder operations around the world. President Trump said in an executive order Monday that he will decide within 90 days whether to invoke the Insurrection Act at the U.S.-Mexico border. That would allow him to use active duty troops domestically for law enforcement.
Tonight, Governor Tony Evers will be giving his State of the State address, but in an excerpt released this afternoon, Governor Evers plans to announce $300 million in investments to school mental health services. The investment would include funding for peer-to-peer suicide prevention programs and expanded mental health training. This isn't the first time the governor has asked for such funding. In the 2023 to 25 fiscal budget, he asked for $25 million for a mental health services grant program. You can watch the address tonight at 7 on channel3000.com.
Well, One City Schools has been given a $50,000 grant to expand affordable child care in Dane County. The money was awarded by the Madison Community Foundation and will fund an assessment and future planning process. That process is expected to start this month and end in May. For more information about One City Schools preschool program, head to onecityschools.org.
A disturbing find from a new study shows 1 in 12 children have been exposed to online sexual abuse. Georgia State University researchers looked at data from more than 120 studies between 2010 and 2023, and they then analyzed the number of children younger than 18 who were exposed to a range of subtypes of sexual abuse. Those include online solicitation to sexual extortion to exposure of sexual images and videos. The study's lead author says the results highlight the need for increased awareness and advancements in digital technology to prevent online sexual abuse. Experts say talking to your children about their online safety is key to protecting them from online sexual abuse. The NBA has postponed the Milwaukee Bucks New Orleans Pelicans game tonight. It's after an historic snowfall in New Orleans.
The Bucks are scheduled to play in Miami tomorrow, and it's still unclear tonight when they'll be able to fly out. With an update on the cleanup and impacts across the South, Skylar Henry reports from Florida.
The once-in-a-lifetime winter storm in the south left behind snowfall totals Houston residents and first responders have rarely experienced.
The first thing I did was look out my window. I was like, yo, this is awesome.
4, 5, 6 inches of snow.
Parts of New Orleans were buried under 10 inches, more than 3 times the city's previous snowfall record.
We've been doing everything that we can to let people know that they should stay at home.
But some people are having fun. This man using the Big Easy's icy streets to play Hockey Tuesday. In Gulf Shores, Alabama, snow blanketed beachfronts for the first time.
There's just no words to describe it. Snow on the beach, who would have thought?
In snow-capped Tallahassee, the roads are still treacherous, making for dangerous driving conditions for many who are out on the roads. You can see still a sheet of ice here, not only on the main roadways, but on the sidewalks themselves. The winter weather forced officials to shut down a 65-mile stretch of Interstate 10 in the Florida Panhandle.
It was not another car or truck on the interstate, it was scary. It was freaky.
In Pensacola, more than 7.5 inches of snow shattered the previous record set in 1895. Officials say streets in northern Florida could be covered for days, with temperatures below freezing. Colder wind chills are also settling in for much of the deep south this week. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Tallahassee, Florida.
A state of emergency from Florida's governor remains in effect for many parts of northern Florida as the region looks to dig out from the winter storm.
An annual favorite is returning to Culver's for a limited time only. The Wisconsin Big Cheese Pub Burger is back from now through February 23rd. The burger comes with a beef patty, garlic mayo, and topped with 3 kinds of cheese. Only available at select locations nationwide, but it'll be available at all restaurants here in Wisconsin. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is back next. His complete first warn forecast.
And lagging sales at Wisconsin-based Kohl's leads to another change at the top. The details next.
On Wall Street, the Dow closes up 131 points. NASDAQ with a strong gain of more than 252 points. S&P adds 37. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5. Moving forward.
Well, some bad news for Netflix customers. The streaming service is once again raising its prices. Netflix's advertising plan will go up just modestly, $1 a month, but the standard plan is going up $2.50, $2.50. Premium is going up $2, and the cost to have an extra user is also going up by $1. By the end of last year, the streaming service had more than 300 million subscribers.
There may soon be picket lines at one of the nation's largest retailers. 18,000 Costco workers are preparing for a potential strike at the company's warehouses in 5 states. Members of the Teamsters Union authorized to strike unless a new deal is reached before the January 31st deadline with the retailer. That's when their contract expires. And a strike authorization, of course, doesn't necessarily mean there will be a strike, but often it's used by unions prior to contract extensions. If the strike does go forward, it's scheduled to start on February 1st.
Wisconsin-based Kohl's is seating its 3rd CEO in just 3 years. Ashley Buchanan, a former CEO of Michaels and a Walmart executive, is now leading Kohl's and will try to stem the tide of roughly 3 straight years of losses. 27 stores will be closing around the country. Kohl's is reshaping its strategy. One strategy is the addition of Sephora, which has brought in younger customers who also make in-store purchases.
A full look now at your first warn forecast. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington joins us as we get out of the deep freeze, but there's some snow falling out there, Alex.
It is. That warmer air is helping to produce that snowfall that we said yesterday would very likely be a possibility in southern Wisconsin, provided it can make it to the ground with the dry air in place, and that has verified. Also, and the 3 things you need to know here, staying cold through Friday, but not the dangerous stuff. And we got some warm stuff on the way and dry. This is the bit of snow that we're going to have in the next 10 days. And I'm going to show you just how unprecedented Wisconsin is compared to the rest of the United States with snow on the ground. We have snow falling towards the ground right now. It's making it to the ground. It's been battling that dry air. just out on the patio, if you saw that during first weather, plenty of flakes flying out there. So you might need to slow it down just a bit. We've had a dusting, reports of 1 inch, some isolated 2-inch amounts, which we said that would be about what we would verify from this snow. Going down at 151 towards Platteville, a couple of flurries, maybe a little bit more. 151 down towards Dubuque and swinging off towards the east. We've had some consistent snow shower activity stretching from Janesville east over towards Elkhorn as well. And we'll continue to see a few more periods of light snow tonight. 6:30, again, eyeing up Madison, Mineral Point, and points to the south and east. Here comes that next batch of a few snow showers as we head towards 10 o'clock. And then that should be the last of the snow shower activity, with skies even potentially clearing out a little bit later tonight, making for a sunny day on Thursday. Additional amounts is just on the phone with WCLO, and they said how much we're going to get. About another dusting to maybe 1 inch in a couple of isolated spots. So overall totals generally between a dusting to 1 inch, some isolated 2-inch amounts. Temperatures normal for this time of year, around 11, just a little bit below normal. Tonight, not extremely below normal, so this is improvement. Tomorrow, bit on the deceptive side, sunny skies, temperatures in the teens, but winds will be lighter, so those wind chills that we're expecting tomorrow are going to flirt here right around that 0 mark. Cold to cautionary, really more on the cold side. So bundle up, but that's what we should do in January. 34 though by Saturday, and temperatures at or above normal for the rest of the 10-day period. So we just got to get through Thursday and Friday at 21, and then our temperatures warm up as we go out into next week, with some days approaching nearly 40 degrees. I want to call out, how are we in terms of snowfall in southern Wisconsin on the ground? Just a little bit. Here's Madison. Here's that snow hole, so to speak, or that snow drought. To the north in Canada, tons of snow. Out in the Rockies, tons of snow. Snow still to the south from that winter storm that we had just a week ago, and then going even further to the south, that's made the news from Houston clear up to the Carolinas. They have snow right now from that historic snowstorm along the Gulf Coast and deep south region. At 10, I'm going to show you a few more graphics about what we can expect in overall precipitation for the next 10 days in southern Wisconsin.
All right, Alex, thank you. Next at 5, how one state is considering getting phones out of students' hands for the entire school day. That's just ahead.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
The U.S. Postal Service is rolling out a newly designed money order next month. It features enhanced security features to combat fraud. An order will be red, white, and blue and have advanced features like watermarks, a security thread, and a QR code linking to post office resources. Current money orders will be accepted until they run out, and then the new version will be available at post office locations all around the country. New York could soon join other states that limit cell phones in schools. Governor Kathy Hochul is launching a proposal to restrict phone use for the entire school day, and that includes the lunch hour.
Some students could be allowed medical exceptions, but if approved, the ban would go into effect at the start of the next school year. Meg Oliver visited a high school in New York that isn't waiting.
At Poughkeepsie High School in New York, students have been required to lock up their phones since last April.
Did you like the idea in the beginning?
No. I thought I needed my phone.
And now?
I don't need it.
At least 8 states have passed policies that ban or restrict cell phone use in schools, and more than a dozen others are considering proposals to do the same, including New York.
Our kids will finally be freed from the endless disruptions of social media and all the mental health pressures that come from it.
Under the proposal, beginning next fall, students in grades K through 12 would give up their smartphones and watches during school hours. Individual school districts could decide how to implement the policy. At Poughkeepsie High School, students like Catalina Lopez Maldonado lock up their phones in a pouch called Yonder.
The day of that I got my phone taken away by the Yonder pouch, I thought I was like hearing and feeling vibrations from my phone, and it made me realize that I was like addicted to it.
Studies have shown excessive screen time among teenagers results in higher rates of depression and anxiety.
You've been doing it since April. How's it going?
It's fantastic. I see personally an increase in grades, an increase in classroom conversation.
As far as the debate over safety concerns,
I think it's a catch-22 because, again, I think if there is some kind of an emergency, parents would be contacted. And I think having a phone in that kind of situation, you have ringers on, that could be a real problem if there is someone in the building who shouldn't be.
That was Meg Oliver reporting. Under Governor Hochul's plan, which still needs legislative approval, simple cell phones without internet capability would still be allowed, and schools would be required to give parents a way to contact their children during the day if needed.
Stay with us for a final check of your First Warn forecast after a short break. Well, check it out. We know what New Orleans is all about, right? Well, check this guy out. He is skiing down Bourbon Street, the cultural epicenter and party capital of New Orleans. What's he yelling at?
I think about a resort.
I'm impressed the guy actually owns skis. Yeah. Nobody in New Orleans has skis.
Yeah, where do you find those? Going up and down. Won't be long. Mardi Gras will be on those streets, but this is wild, Alex. It's been crazy.
We can't buy any snow.
No, and you're familiar with South Carolina. My son's in school there. They had snow, a couple inches. They canceled campus, shut down campus today. They're not used to it down there, but it's melting off pretty quickly down there, and we're getting a little snow in our area.
A little bit of snow in our area, and it's unprecedented how far south that cold weather got, so that they're able to get snow as far south as the Gulf Coast, which is very, very rare. And our little bit of snow not amounting to what they had down south. We could really use the snow coming up at 6 more on our snow drought. Just a few more snow flurries here this evening, maybe a dusting, perhaps upwards of an inch in a couple of isolated areas. We know that it only takes just a little bit for a couple of slick spots. I even ran into a few on the way to the station today. So take it easy. But when you look at the 10-day forecast, take note. A lot of sun's in there, a couple breezy days in there, mild temperatures. So if you're looking for the temperatures in the 30s to near 40, we got that back in the forecast as early as Saturday, and then much of next week in the 30s to near 40. But once again, an unprecedented stretch here of dry weather in southern Wisconsin, and more on the total amount of water that we're expecting over the course of the next 10 days in the Midwest coming up at 6 o'clock, because I know a lot of folks they're waiting for their version of the real snow, not the artificial stuff, but the real stuff.
Well, there's a lot of winter left to go.
We still, February, I was telling folks, February, in the middle of February, the weather pattern tends to get active again. We'll start to see if that actually occurs.
All right, we'll have more updates in a half-hour news 3 now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.